Okay, so this class is on, where it's obviously just two of us, so we can do what you want to, but the intent is that we talk about Google Docs.
Okay, do you need to record it?
I already am.
Oh, okay.
The intent is that it's on Google Docs, so I decided I'd start a Google Drive and move from here and talk about the different kind of documents, and basics, and how you can use them in class and how to share them. Is that kind of what you want to talk about?
Yes, so this is through Gmail, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So you just click, whenever you're in Gmail, you can just click over here on this little button right there, and then you can go to Drive, and that's how you get here. So that's the easiest way to get to Drive. So in fact, I'm always logged into Gmail, and then I go from there. So I have lots of stuff in my Google Drive, and I usually start, and one of the things I do is I star stuff, so I'm not looking at everything.
Right.
So this isn't everything that's in my drive. This is just the stuff I have starred, and starring means kind of like, this is important right now. And you never have to delete anything, by the way. We have unlimited storage on Google Drive, so you can keep, which you may not want to do, but you can keep everything. And one of the other nice things you can do in Google Drive is you can access, we've got the mobile app to access our files from anywhere, which is the server that's down right now. So right now you don't have the mobile app, which is why I'm trying to get it going again. It actually died yesterday on me while I was at Oxford working on something for school, and I was like, So, Google Drive used to be about Google Docs, and it's not anymore. It's about whatever you want to keep in the cloud.
Okay.
So, especially with the fact that we have unlimited storage, you can make folders to hold total non-googly stuff. So right here, my full desk folder right there is a folder that I've got all my Chapter 1 notebook stuff in. So that, because I couldn't get the one thing, so I removed the machine and made a folder and dropped it there so I could get to it from my laptop while I was in Oxford. So it doesn't have to be Google stuff. You can use it to back up your stuff and get to it anywhere else. So if you got stuff you know you're going to work on in the summer, you can drag a whole folder on the Google and just let it upload it in that folder. That's exactly what I did here. I made a folder called Full Desk, and I grabbed my Chapter 1 folder off my desktop and just threw it right onto there, and it goes whoop, and it uploaded it all.
Okay.
So it's not all about Google stuff. Okay. But predominantly, if you're using it, you might want to be able to edit it online, and if you want to edit it online, then it has to be Google stuff. So you can upload normal Office stuff to your Google Drive, and it will convert it. You can't edit a Word document. You can edit a document that's been converted from Word into a Google Doc.
Okay. But it does it automatically?
Right, and it does it automatically. So if I've got stuff on my T drive that I want to work on from anywhere, I can open up my T drive and say I need to work on this lesson plan for next week, because I still haven't done a lesson plan for Thursday when I'm going to be on, and I want to work on this particular lesson plan right here. I can just drag it right onto there and drop it.
And this is in your drive, Google
and
Drive.
And it's uploaded to Google Drive. Now, what it did was it uploaded a document, okay? It's a document file, and it's right here, and if I click on that, all I get is a preview of it, because it's a document. It's not a Google Doc, okay? So it's a Word document. But if I look right here, I have the Open With drop down, and I can say I want to open it with Google Docs. So now Google's going to say, okay, we'll transfer it over into a Google Doc. And now, when it's done, it's now an editable document in Google that I can now work on. So it automatically transferred this Word file. It looks 90% of the time it looks exactly like what I uploaded. 10% of the time it moves stuff around. It didn't. If you use a funky font that Google has no idea what it is, it might all of a sudden change the font or whatever. You can see I just drag it on there, and then if I open it up, I can say open with Google, and it turns it into a Google Doc.
Okay.
Right now, just so you know, I have two. I have the one I uploaded, and I have this one. They're both named the same thing.
Okay.
Okay, so it even still says it's DocX on the end, but when I look at it in my drive, let's see if I'll see it with my recent stuff. Here, you can see the icon is different.
Okay.
So even though it's named the same thing, this one is a Word document that I can't edit. This is a Google document that I can. They're both named the exact same thing.
Okay.
Okay, it doesn't change any names or anything. And in fact, if I wanted to, now I could delete the Word one if I wanted.
That's what I was wondering.
Because I don't
Okay.
need it. Okay, so while we're here, let's go to that document and let's pretend this is a document that we want to work on as a team, and we all want to be able to work on this document.
Right.
Okay, so one of the things that's great about Google Docs is I have the ability to share. So right up here, I can see when I hover over it, right now it's private only to me, but I can click on it to share that document. And this is one of the real powers of Google Docs. It's awesome. Okay, so there's all kinds of ways I can share. If I only wanted to share it with you, you and I are the only one where nobody else needs to see it, it's just us, I can just start typing in. You can see as I start typing in the first two letters, it automatically is linked to all of our emails. So I can say I'm going to share it with Kendra Thompson. By default, you can edit it, but I don't have to allow you to edit it. Maybe you're not trustworthy. Maybe I just want your comments, okay? So I can say people on the team can edit it, but maybe Mr. Eels, we don't want him to change our document because we're working on it. We just want him to be able to comment on the document.
Okay.
Okay? Or the last option is view. Okay? Now edit, it's kind of obvious. You can do anything I can do to the document if I give you edit privileges. Okay? Anything at all. And when I say edit, I can also add a note down here. So this is a note that you're going to get in an email, okay? Okay, and it says down there, notify via email. If you uncheck this, then no one will know unless they look in their drive to see that it's there. I mean, it'll still show up in their drive.
Right.
Okay, but so you may want to leave that checked so that people get a little email. So if I go ahead and say send, now you have edit privileges on this, and in your Gmail you just got an email that said, hey, Brian will share this document with you, and it has a link to it.
Okay.
The only difference between that checkbox and that checkbox not being there is that you have to know to look for it.
Okay.
And maybe if we're all in a meeting like this, and there's 20 of us, and we are all on the team together, maybe everybody knows, hey, it's going to be in your thing, I'm not sending an email. Maybe you won't.
Okay.
Okay, so that's an option that just so you know it's there. The difference between editing and commenting is, do you know what a comment is?
I think so, because I think
Okay.
I've done that.
So if Ed was reviewing this thing that the third grade was putting together and he didn't like the title up here, he could highlight this. He could highlight this. If I could highlight this, there we go. And my mouse is acting funny. And then I could right click and say comment. And a comment just goes out to the side. It'll be highlighted. Okay. And so the comment's over there. The comment lets you know who left the comment, when they left the comment, and what the comment is. And that part of the document is highlighted so you know that there's some comment there. Doesn't change the document. You print the document, it's still the same way it was. But you can allow people to just give you comments, but you don't want them to touch your stuff.
Right.
Maybe. Like if you're having reviewers on a document and leave a comment, that's a good thing for commenting. And view is something, there's a good reason for viewing. And one of the reasons for viewing is, for instance, if you wanted all your kids to take this paper and edit it, okay, now, I just said they can only view it, but that only means they can only view this version of it. Because they can always open up something and say, file, make a copy. And they can make their own copy of it, and they can edit their own copy all they want to. Okay, so one of the reasons you might want to share to view only is okay, we're working on letters. Here's a letter. I want everybody to open it up. And obviously there's some training that goes there. They have to understand to make a copy, and then they edit their copy, and then they share it back to you. So you would then see all your kids' new letters. They're all based off the template letter that you just let them view, but nobody could touch your letter.
Okay.
So that's one reason that you might want to do that, to teach them how to edit things, or to give them examples of work that they can't touch and they can't hurt, okay? As far as docs go, while we're here, one of the things that you can see on here, which is really nice, if you use this as a group project or something, which I don't know if you would in your grade level or not, but one of the things that you can do as a group, like if your team works on something, you can go and you can say view, where am I at? There we go. It's in a file, and see revision history, in which case you would see in a different color every single time something had been changed and who changed it. And you can go back forever and say, when did that get changed? And you can go and keep looking back and like, oh, Kendra changed that on last Tuesday. Kendra, why did you change that? Okay, if you're working as a team or something like that, which is one of the nice things. And you can revert to any revision that you want to at any time. And if you go to a revision, you don't have to save the revert. You could make a copy of that version as a new copy, so that like, oh, I want to go back to that, but I want to lose all this. Okay, I'm going to look at that one. I'm going to make a copy of that one, and then so you can go back without destroying everything that you've done since then too. As far as the editing abilities on here, it's not as powerful as Word, but it's close enough for 90% of the stuff that we're going to do. You know, you can footnote, you can do headers, you can do tables. You know, doesn't do everything, but man, for free, it does a whole lot of stuff.
Right.
So.
Okay. Now, one time, Jonelle sent me a document to let me see, comment on.
Okay.
But my comments went inside here in green font. Did I do something wrong? Because it was like, say I wanted to change this.
Okay.
Then I forget what I did now though, but somehow I clicked add a comment, and then I typed in and it came up right here in green. Does that make sense? Or
I don't know. I've never seen that.
okay.
No.
Because it was right in the document. It gave me brackets. And so I was trying to look it up to see if it was still on here, but I see my comments.
I don't know. I don't know that. Yeah.
But they were actually in the document in green.
And maybe there's a way that you can make it show the I've never seen that, but maybe that's a setting that you can have the comment show up in line. I don't know that. I almost have to ask Jonelle how she
did that?
yeah, whether she did something to do that.
Because then I had her send me an email after I shared it back to be sure that I did everything right, because I wasn't sure. She said, yep, I got everything. I was like, okay. But yeah, I was able to click right on the line that I wanted to change and start just typing my suggestion.
Okay. I don't
Anyway, okay.
I don't know that one.
All
Now
right.
I will say, just so you know, sometimes things look different in Chrome than they do in Firefox too. So maybe it looks different in Chrome. Were you in Chrome when you did it? Or
I was in
Firefox?
Firefox, but
Okay.
she probably was in Chrome when she sent it.
I don't know, because and I will tell you that there's some capabilities that don't exist in Firefox that exist in Chrome. Like that dropping a folder. You can't, if I'm on Drive and I say, I want this whole folder, and I go, wouldn't let me do it, I didn't grab it, hold on. And I say I want this whole folder, oh, it thinks I'm trying to rename it. It says, hey, you can see it says down here at the bottom.
Yeah.
That's not supported in your browser. Use Chrome. So although I can drag one file at a time just fine with Firefox, if I want to do the whole folder, I have to log on using Chrome,
Okay.
which is what I did last night. I don't use Chrome predominantly. I use Firefox predominantly, but that doesn't mean I don't like Chrome. And there's obviously some things that Google has written into it to use it better. And there's some really cool add-ons in Chrome that's not the topic of today at all, which we should probably do one on Chrome add-ons, because there's all kinds of cool stuff that you can add on for reading. So it automatically does thesaurus stuff for you and does read aloud stuff and all kinds of stuff with Chrome add-ons that I'm not going to say I'm an aficionado on it, but I've seen it enough in other presentations that I could look up a bunch of that stuff. Because have you ever done any of the Chrome add-ons? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and log in. One of the things that happens that when you add on things in Chrome, it remembers. So if you go to a new computer, it will add them onto that browser too, which sometimes is a pain because you're sitting there waiting for it to to load, because then it's got to go get all your add-ons.
Right.
So that's what it's doing right now. It's going and starting to add things on that I've seen. There we go. There's Evernote getting added. So it's going out and fetching all the add-ons that I've added to Chrome automatically to add them to this Chrome browser here, which is maybe one of the reasons I don't use Chrome very often, because I don't want to sit here and wait for it to go and add all that stuff on. But some of the stuff is really cool, like that text-to-speech stuff that it does, and
it's almost like when you're somebody that's using one computer.
Then it's
all
great.
the time,
But when I move around,
exactly.
if every single time I sat down at a computer, I had this happen to me, I'd be like, I hate Chrome, which is why it bothers me.
Right.
Okay. So anyway, so I'll let that just. I'm going to minimize that, and we're going to move on. Okay. So that's I'm going to call it a Word document, although it's obviously not Word. Do you have any questions on that in particular before we move on?
So do you type then, like when you go to make a Word document, you don't go to Word anymore, you go to Google Drive? Or not necessarily?
Depends on where I'm at.
Okay.
Because sometimes I do it on Google Drive, and sometimes I do it on Word. And I will tell you, we're used to Word, right? And so I will say I'm not any more used to Word than I am Google Drive anymore, because I was so indoctrinated with the old version of Word, and then we got the new one with the ribbon and things that I did instantaneously. I'm like looking, where's that button now?
Right.
So it doesn't take me any longer in one than the other, because I really don't know the shortcuts in either one of them anymore.
Okay.
So, but I will say in general, no. Most of the time, if I'm at a PC, I just do it in Word. And then if I know if I got to go use it someplace, or I'm going to share it with somebody, then I'll upload it into there.
Okay.
So, which in fact causes myself problems. Because things like, I mean, in my Google Drive, I've got the laptop issue log of all the laptops that are issued. Okay. Also, if I go to my L drive, which is my laptop drive, I also have a folder there, which is all the laptops that are issued. Which one's current? And I got to remember, which one did I edit? I got to make sure I edit the right one. But that one's up there so that Bob and Cindy and the people in the office and in Apex, they know who's got bring your own and who's got what. So if one all of a sudden goes missing. So sometimes having both is a pain in the rear.
Right.
And so I've tried to, the things that I want to share, I've tried to get away like this one. Okay, this is all the IP addresses for everything in the district and where they should be as far as their internet address. I used to keep that as a separate document, and then I'm like, oh crap, which one's the, so I just deleted the other document. So the only one I have is the one in Google Drive. And I can go back, if I want to work on something in Excel, I can always go right here, I can go File, and I can go download as and say I want to turn it back into an Excel document, because some stuff, because I used to teach Excel, I know way better in Excel. Because the formulas are not the same. If you're an Excel person and you know all the formulas, it's a pain in the butt to, oh crap, what's Google's version of this formula? It's easier for me to download it, change it, do it all in Excel and re-upload it than it is for me to, I'm sure in the long run maybe I should learn how to do it.
So since I don't know Excel very well, then I should just get used to.
It'd be just as easy. If you don't know the Excel formulas and stuff, there's nothing, it does everything that I know of. And I do some pretty big Excel stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't had anything not work. Now there's some things I haven't tried, some advanced formulas and stuff that I do, and really big, like the sheet that I use that makes all the student accounts. It's a ginormous 12 meg Excel spreadsheet, which is really big for one spreadsheet.
Right.
And I have not tried to upload that. I don't know if it would make Google explode.
Well, really, I guess I don't even use formulas. I use Excel more for like tables and charts and attendance sheets and stuff like that.
Then this would be great, because you could get to it from anywhere, right?
Okay.
It wouldn't even matter. And then if you're out someplace and you just want to change something, it'd be relatively easy to do.
Okay.
Right.
So how do I get there?
Okay, so if I want to make an Excel, or any of them, I just click New, and then I've got the primary ones right there.
Oh.
Docs, Sheets, and Slides. Docs is Word, Sheets is Excel, Slides is PowerPoint.
Okay.
Okay. So all you have to do is say, I want to make a new sheet, and then it pops up. It always says it's untitled. If you want to title it, you just click up on the name and you just type a name in there, and now that's what's going to show up in Google. And unlike Excel, you always start out with one tab, but you can just add tabs. Just hit the plus button. I have not gotten to the point where I've run out of
Okay.
room and space. And just like Excel, I can rename the tabs down here if I want to. I can give the tabs colors so that it's easier to find which thing's what. It doesn't fully color it, which is, I know that seems stupid, but if you're going to say color the tab, then color the dang tab. Don't just make a colored
Give it a
line
line.
underneath it. I think that's ridiculous. But anyways, that's me. So, and just like Excel, you can resize this stuff. I mean, almost everything that I do in Excel, I can do here too. And the nice thing is, for instance, when the technology expenditure is a good example. Okay, so I keep a spreadsheet of what I've spent, and I've got it shared with the superintendent, with the treasurer, so they don't have to call me up and say, hey, where did this come from, or what? All they have to do and look, okay, well that came from this Tech Super PO. This is what we spent out of the iPad project. This is what we spent out of OneNet this year, which we don't have any money in OneNet anymore. Anyway, so it's just easier for me to make one spreadsheet here. It does the basic stuff. It does the plus minus stuff and the calculations, and you can still freeze rows just like you could in Excel and everything else. But it's shared to them so they can look that stuff up.
Okay.
You know, so that sometimes, especially with something like that, it's so much easier for me, because then Mr. Borger's like, hey, and sometimes when, hey, we looked for something and it wasn't anything, oh crap, I forgot to put that on there. Because sometimes I'll buy something on Amazon and forget to put it on. I mean,
Right.
It's still in a super PO and I know where it's paid from, but I forgot to put it on the spreadsheet or something.
Okay.
The sharing's the same. So I click on there and it shows right now, this is who this particular spreadsheet is shared with. Nobody can edit it but me. On this one, everybody can view it. This is one of the other things too. If you want to, you can click these things. Prevent editors from changing access and adding new people. So I can say you can edit, but that's it. You can't, because by default, if I allow you to edit, you can also ask that person to edit. Or you can add other editors. But as the owner, because only one person's the owner of the document, I can also say prevent anybody else from asking anybody else. So when I ask you, I'm asking you, I'm not asking you to ask someone else.
Okay.
And you can disable the options to download, print, and copy for anybody. So if you want somebody to view it, but you don't want them to have it, for instance, and I don't do this, but other people have. That's kind of a new feature. But if I am giving a PowerPoint presentation at eTech, and I share it so everybody can follow along on their laptop while they're watching, I can say, well, but you can follow along, but you can't have it. All you can do is look at it. And it will prevent them from printing it, from making their own copy of it, or from downloading it. I don't do that because I share everything that I teach, but you could, especially if it's something you're writing on your own and you want somebody else to read it, but you don't want them to take some copyrighted material or something that you're working on a paper or something. So you have those other options as well. One of the other things when we talk about sharing, you can also, instead of getting names, you can say get this shareable link. And what the shareable link is saying anybody that I send this to then can do whatever I give them access to. So you can see right there, it says by default anyone at National Trail can view with that link. You can also say anybody at National Trail can comment, or anybody can edit, or you could even say anyone on the web. I can put that link out there and anybody on the internet could edit my document. I don't know why you do that. But you could. You could say anybody with a link can, this allows them to search it too. Okay? But anyone with a link, you're saying that I'm going to put it on my Moodle site. If you come to my Moodle site and find the link, then you would have whatever access I'm going to give. I mean, you may only want to give that viewable access. The nice thing about this, and when I would do this, is the last thing you want to do if you've got a class of 90 kids in English is to go and invite them all to edit. What a pain that would be, right? I don't want to do that, okay? But I could just as easily say, well, anybody with the link from National Trail can edit this document. Okay, I'm not going to do this, by the way, but I could.
Right.
And if I said save, then I just put that link on my Moodle page, or I email that link out and said, hey, I'm looking for input on this. Here's the link. And I just send it to the NTLS staff one or whatever. Okay, so there are ways to share that are less painful, than inviting everyone. because obviously inviting is nice for a small group, but it's not nice for a classroom type thing, or if you're a fourth grade teacher and you're trying to do something with Google Docs and you want everybody to start with this and make a copy of it, I don't want to do that either. Okay? And there's no reason to send out an email if you can just put that one link on Moodle.
Right.
Okay? And I guess while I'm talking about links, I know you may know, I don't know, maybe you do. Do you know what tinyURL or URL shorteners are?
I've heard of them, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to show you real fast because I may want to give this link to my kids. I'm going to go to another document so I don't accidentally share out
the expenditures.
yeah, okay, so let me okay, we'll start with the laptop issue log because I don't really care if people know who's got what laptop. So if I go and say, let's say I want to share this one and I want to share it to the staff, okay? So I'm going to get that shareable link and I'm going to say anybody with that link can view, okay? So I'm going to copy that link and say done. Now this would be a terrible thing to ask people to type in.
Right.
Right? And so you would really, that's something that if it's not a link that I can click on, you couldn't go and tell people in class, hey, go type this in to go to this document, okay? Which is where, especially with kids, if everybody had a laptop card, but you didn't want them to have to log on to something to go to that, like I want them to just type in this nice short thing, okay? And I use tinyURL, there's lots of different ones. So if I go to tinyurl.com, it allows me, and I don't have to set up an account or anything, I'm not logged or anything. I can take that same URL and drop it in there and say, make it tiny. And it will come up with this tiny URL that looks like that, okay, right there. There. So all I would really have to get used to telling kids is that how many digits? 7-digit code. But I don't have to do it that way even. If I'm going to do it and I want to make my own coding system, I could go down here and put ntbp underscore, what did we share? Oh, laptops. Okay, also make it NTHS laptops. And I could say, make tiny URL. And if that's available, which it was, it's now there. So all I have to do is I could tell anybody, go to tinyurl.com/nths-laptops. So you can make your own and make it something easy. So if I was doing it in class, and if it was a class that, in high school we just put the link on Moodle, right? It would be the easiest way. But if I'm in elementary school and we're going and signing out a lab, or you've got a bunch of kids with iPads in your room, and maybe it's 3rd grade and they don't have email addresses yet, and you just want to be able to type in and go there. Probably a bad example since they're trying to type in and go to Google Docs, but let's pretend that. I didn't hear that name, but I don't think it was me. So you could just use something like a tiny URL to make it something you could present in class and just tell the kids to go to. And that goes along not just with this, but anything that you guys are doing with the iPads. If you want them to do it on the internet, you want an easy way to give them how to go there. Pick whatever your shortener is. There's Bitly, there's Google. It's like GooGL. There's all kinds of shorteners. This is the one I started with, so it's the one I've always used. But they're all fine. I would always use the same one in your class, though. So you can make a little sign that's up top that says all the first part with a slash, so you can just say, go to NTHS laptops, and they all know to type in that first part first.
Okay.
And they get used to it. So. Now I've lost my train of thought. We're talking about sharing, talking about spreadsheets, and the sharing is really the same thing with the spreadsheets. And we've got slides you can do, and the same thing if you upload a PowerPoint, you can convert it in. Those are the things that I would say I've had the most trouble with, that don't always convert perfectly. Okay, so I've got this freshman night PowerPoint that I did. I can drag that over there and drag it over there. I dropped it right there. There's the PowerPoint. Initially, it's just pictures. And then if I say again, if I want to edit it, oh, I didn't mean to do that. I say open with and say Google Slides, and now this will be converted into something that I can edit. The nice thing about doing it this way is that if you're presenting in a class, especially if you have any low vision kids or you want kids to annotate while they're doing something, you could present it this way and make a tiny URL, and they could all go to your presentation. So while you're up there, if you're going to use this, but while you're up there presenting, there we go, presenting, you could have them be going to the exact same place, and they can follow along with you on their iPad while you're presenting that presentation. And if you've got it shared, they could make a copy, or you could allow them to edit if you wanted to allow them to annotate at the same time. If there was something you wanted to take notes or something like that, they could use comments to take notes during your presentation.
Okay.
And obviously, if you do it this way, then you can get to it from anywhere too. I always do these whenever there's an upside and a downside. I always do these so that I'm going to an e-tech presentation or something that other people, because I'm ADD, ADHD, all over the place anyway. So if somebody gets off on talking about slide number 2, I can go, oh, what did we talk about there? What are we going to talk? I go ahead and come back and stuff. So that it allows me to, and I almost always make my own copy. So it's on my account, and then I can take notes in it to ask them this later or something. Whereas if someone's just presenting to you, there's no way, short of old-fashioned handing out paper copies of PowerPoints, which I don't know that anybody does that anymore. I don't know that anybody hands out paper copies.
Right.
Whereas if you shared this to me, I could just use the note, and this is what I do. And I just got off it somehow. I closed it. There we go. I'll go like that, and I'll just take my notes down in the notes section down below. So while they're presenting, I can be following along in the same slide, and I can type any notes down here that I want to on it, which is one of the nice things if you use this instead of PowerPoint. Downside, you don't get the cool transitions, you can't get fly-ins. It's just you get the pictures when they show up. So if you're a teacher who's all about the animation on a PowerPoint, you will never like Google Slides.
Okay.
You still can do transitions, but that's about it. As in slide transitions, fading through slides. That's about as neat as you get at this point. And maybe it'll get more full-featured like that. I don't know that the kids miss that. It's not like they're sitting there waiting to see the typewriter effect. Ooh, haven't you seen that in slides? I've been waiting for that one. So, I'm trying to think. Oh, and the other thing is that you guys can do too, and it's something that I haven't set up first grade yet. First grade just asked for a folder to share. Well, now with this, you can do the same thing. So I can go and say, a new folder. They can make one called first grade right here and create a folder. And then now that I'm waiting for my folder. Do you see it? Okay, I'm going to search for first. There we go. So there's my folder. And I can go and drop stuff in here. And I can go and share this so that anybody else can drop stuff in here. Oh, look, it only lets me have 12 gig in a folder. Oh, no, that's what I'm using. That's an all limitation. I thought it was saying it was limited to that. I was like, what? So I can share, I can add people into this. So I can go and share this folder with everybody in the first grade, and they could just drop their stuff in there. So it really works exactly the same as we're doing.
Like the L drive.
Yeah, exactly the same as the L drive, except for the fact that when they're at home, they can drag it right out on their computer, laptop, or their PC at home. They can get to it from their phone if they wanted to open it up on the, because I have Google Drive on my phone, so if I'm going to do something, I go plunk, and I can look at all those IP addresses, which is why I don't like having it on the T drive, because even then I gotta go and I gotta open an app again.
How do you get that on your phone? Because like when I check my email and I see that somebody has shared something with me, I try to look at it and then I can't. It says the document viewer is not something.
Yeah, there's an app called Google Drive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you have to have the Google Drive app. You can't look at it from the email
Okay.
link. I had to add Google Drive to my phone
Okay.
as an app. And the nice thing is that the Google Drive app will let you sync and download stuff too. So even when I don't have an internet application or internet connection, which is very little, right? But
Right.
anyways, when I don't, those things that I have synced, I can still see the last synced version on my phone, and if I change it, it will change the one on Google when I get back in Wi-Fi,
Okay.
if that happens. So if you've got a limited data plan, for instance, you've got the phone with 1 gig of data, and you don't want to use it for that, you can just tell it to sync when you're back in actual Wi-Fi and not use your data plan for that. So it's kind of nifty.
Okay.
So anyways, you can edit and save that whole folder, and the cool thing, and I'm going to show you my, I went scuba diving this summer,
Mhm.
and you don't have to save it with people inside, so the lady's like, well, I don't have a flash drive to go and send you your movies on, so I just made a Google folder and said here, and I sent her the link, and I said just put them there. So they're 22 meg video files that she said there was no way to email them to me, so I was able to have her just put them right there, and she just uploaded them, and then I can go and click on them right in Google and see it looks like it's playing through YouTube, and you can see the scuba diving pictures that we took while we were out diving this summer. And I took way more than 3, and she only sent me 3, and I was a little bit annoyed. She's like, they didn't take. I'm like, really? Ugh. This fish is huge, by the way, which is what I was trying to get. I was sitting waving at my son trying to get him to look. How just ginormous that fish is, almost as long as me.
Really?
And that fish is like this big. It was about that big around. It was so big, but I wasn't that close to it.
Oh, that's so scary.
And I didn't figure out. She told me I couldn't use it for video. I rented the camera, and I wasn't going to figure out how to use it while I was underwater for an hour and a half.
Right.
So the first dive was with 8 mako sharks, and I have no video of that.
Oh.
And then the second dive is when I figured out, all I have to do is do this to do the video. Well, it turns out the reason she said not to is because it kills the camera battery like that. So I only got about half the dive because I killed the battery. So
Yeah.
anyway, my point was though, you can make a folder and share it to anybody and say, hey, put that stuff here, or you can get that stuff here. It doesn't have to be somebody from National Trail. It doesn't have to be a student. So if you're working from somebody from another district that doesn't have, well, obviously wouldn't have an account inside National Trail, you can still, Karen Rao has they still have to have a Gmail account
Okay.
in order to upload or download anything from a Google account. Even if you say you can use it and here's the link to a Yahoo, they got to link it up to a Gmail account
Okay.
of some sort. But it doesn't have to be a school one or anything like that. So that this was really intended to be the basics of how you get to it, how you get it up, how you get it down, and how you share it.
Yes.
There's a lot of classroom and school applications to Google Drive for sharing stuff, and we have more ways to share than most schools. Most schools don't have. I wouldn't be able to set up a network drive to share for 3rd grade because a lot of schools they just wouldn't do that. And this is something you can do on your own without any outside support, which isn't why I didn't set up 1st grade yet. I just keep forgetting that they asked me to.
Yeah. Okay. I think I got it then.
And that's our 45 minutes anyway, even though we got started late. So.